I have got to turn that shit down.
I love that intro so much.
Thank you. But hello, I'm Professor Pixel here once again on Pixel Lore to talk about Rings of Power, Episode 3. And to join me, I have my two friends, of course. To my side, you can see him. He's a writer. He's here. He's Landry Q Walker.
Oh, I got him. I got you.
Hey, you. Hello.
No. And if you look down there, you can see, of course, Jimmy. He isn't a writer. He's an editor.
I got you.
Oh.
You know, you need to go ahead and knock yourself down sometimes. I do it all the time.
Thanks, Landry. Appreciate you.
But yes, we are here to discuss Episode 3. It came out just last night. And, well, I don't know where to really start. I mean, the major part of this episode is getting to Numenor. And that's what it is.
It's so beautiful. It's
very
so
beautiful.
The best, I saw something on Twitter today. This father was watching it with his, I want to say 13-year-old, something like that, around that age. And the kid was getting emotional seeing Numenor. And then he just stops. Like, he's getting emotional and then just not emotional anymore. And then his dad goes, why were you getting emotional? And why are you upset right now? He goes, I thought it was Minas Tirith. And then I found out it wasn't. So I'm upset. But to be fair, I mean, they're the ancestors of Gondorians or whatever they're called.
I mean, yes. There's a part that I'm lacking some knowledge here. Admittedly, Third Age, Lord of the Rings, Hobbit. I'm
a third age guy.
So
I'm the second age guy, but first age I cannot help you with.
No, I don't. Is there anyone who can help anybody with first age?
Yes, that's the majority. I think that's the majority of it because it was really delved into the Morgoth.
I know about the singing the song that brings the world into existence and the disharmonious note that Morgoth sings. But how all notes, even if Morgoth sings the disharmonious note, is still part of the grand song of Iluvatar, and then I don't know anything. That's it. Next thing I know,
it leads to the War of Wrath, which is where Morgoth obviously dies and Sauron takes his place. There's not much. I know a bit about the Silmarils with Beren and Luthien. That's I know very little. Second age though is where I'm at.
Yeah. Okay. So with this, we said right before, my problems with this episode are really that we didn't get any dwarves and no more Elrond. Most of it is actually picking up where we left off with, what's his name? The elf. It starts with an A. Do I need to pull up the cast list?
It's Arondir. Arondir.
I've never been good with the names.
Neither have I. It's like this morning I was rewatching it and I was like, I'm finally gonna get the name, and it was like Arondir.
Yes, I'm going to pull up the list. I just need to look for his face, and guess what? His face doesn't show up even though he is honestly one of my favorite characters thus far.
I think he's great.
Yeah, I think his what he's going through right now, especially. Being held by the orcs.
That was amazing. Just in the work camp was just.
Jimmy, you should be proud.
I genuinely love the orcs. I out of all the redesigns, I love all the redesigns.
I know where you're going?
Do.
I saw you on Twitter.
I truly like the redesigns, except for the wargs. Oh, they're so bad. They look like a mix between a hyena and a chihuahua.
Okay, here's a funny thing. I saw you say that on Twitter, but I didn't look. I'm like, okay, all right, now I know wargs show up. I literally just got done watching it. Literally.
Oh, really? Oh, my bad. My bad.
No. It was fine. It was fine. You go ahead and post it. Don't stop. Don't let me stop. I didn't get anything spoiled of importance. So I was watching for it though. I'm like, okay, I got to see what he's talking about. I was like, all right, I would have known you wouldn't like this when I saw it, but you should also probably know that means that I love it.
You love it, yeah.
You know why I loved it?
Damn it!
It looked like a cross between a hyena and a chihuahua. That's why I loved it.
No.
Somebody said it looks like ugly Sonic and a Hedgehog had a baby.
Oh, that's a good one.
I never liked the wargs from the films because they didn't look monstrous enough to me.
I can already tell. This is going to be a long hour.
Yeah, I know. It's so hard. They just look like big wolves to me, and I want monsters. I want them to look like them to look frightening and weird. Like, but I also wish the goblins looked more frightening and weird most of the time. Like, I like the Moria goblins in Fellowship, but I don't really like the Urukai design as much. I like the big eyes and the,
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Weirder.
Okay. Let me backpedal. The warg CGI was bad. Like, you can see it wasn't rendered well. Like, when it walks on the ground, its feet didn't look like it was walking on the ground. It definitely looked like someone just copied paste and didn't do anything.
100% agree.
I truly love the how do I put this? I like the wargs from the original trilogy. The wargs from the Hobbit ones, I'm not a huge fan of. If the face of the wargs on this were different, I'd probably say they were the best because the way they were designed for the rest of their body was perfect.
So I think that we should talk about a certain part of this episode, especially considering that she is our lead right now. Really, if we think about it, that's Galadriel. I made a tweet the other day, and I know, Jimmy, you responded to it, where somebody put the side by side of Galadriel from, obviously, Peter Jackson, who is a more accurate representation, and then her in her armor and all that. And somebody was basically saying, reject modern adaptation, respect the past. And I said, I can enjoy both. However, in this episode, she is getting somewhat worse. I think that the humanization of elves is a crime that has to be stopped for Galadriel specifically. All the other elves, I don't really have a problem with. I really don't. But I think Galadriel is suffering from being put as the main character and not acting as one who is an immortal.
She doesn't feel ethereal enough. She doesn't feel wise enough.
No.
She feels angry and impulsive and a little scared most of the time, which doesn't seem to fit what we feel her character should be. She has no gravitas. Yeah.
My problem with Galadriel is, I should say, the writing with Galadriel.
Well, yeah.
I like the actress, Morford Clark. She looks almost exactly like I'd imagine Galadriel to look like. But her writing is to where she's almost like a Mary Sue, to the point where she is correct even when she's wrong. She was going to leave her people behind in the ice storm just to keep going to find. She knew it should be right. The Tower of Ungbar. I think it was Ungbar. Tower. What?
Small correction. She wasn't going to leave them. She was going to make them come with her. And when they all finally said, "We're not doing this," she finally listened.
No, I'm talking about before they find the Tower of Ungbar. One falls behind, and then the other one, and she's like, "No, we got to keep moving." And also, she's like saying, "I know there's still this evil out there. I know the Morgoth person she thinks is still there. She doesn't know it's Sauron, but she still thinks someone's there that has taken up his spot." And she goes, "I think he's still there." And then everyone's like, "But you're being a bad leader. You are not a good leader. Your own people left you because you were there's no point in doing this. Even when you're right, you still have the bad, let's say, you have good intentions but bad motives. Is the right thing I'm thinking? Is that it?
Her actions don't justify her means.
Yeah,
or something like that. Something's not justifying some shit, and it's not fucked up. Oh, it is fucked up. It's not cool. Sorry. It's not okay. Cool. Galadriel should not be doing that.
No. Exactly. And Elrond. Go
ahead. No, you go ahead.
And Elrond, being her friend and one of her closest friends, should be like, yes, you were right, but you got to learn how to lead people. Otherwise, you're not going to have anyone that's going to follow you to the end. Because I'm sorry, Pixel, but she's a bitch.
Why are you sorry? It is pretty much how she has been acting throughout this episode. And it's very tough because I do enjoy this show, which I know isn't a popular thing, but I do enjoy a lot of this show. I feel like the problem lies with Galadriel. Even like, what's his name? Halbrand. I like him. I like his angle. There's something up with him, and we get a major reveal that he was actually the king of his people, and that's why.
I don't think that's it. I think it's a red herring.
You do? I don't know.
Yeah, Halbrand is 100%. Because this is kind of what I'm talking about.
Yeah. No, I mean.
Okay. I take issue with this meme. Because I think that's the whole point. Of course, she grows between now and then. She's.
I understand.
She's still thousands of years old.
That's the problem with having her seem like she's not wise.
Yeah. So I think that they could. It could be better. Oh my gosh, I have to use the Chibnall quote. I think perhaps it could be a little better written because she could be headstrong. And I was looking at comments earlier. Somebody says that she is more narcissistic than she is just headstrong. So it's. I think that there needs to be a balance in there that's not, and I understand that we need growth, but that's for a character with a shorter lifespan. And I can understand a level of growth, but this is not a good place to start for her at all. Like, unless she was like an actual child.
Okay, so this hits a pet peeve of mine, and I dealt with this when I was writing for Star Wars. I don't like situations. I don't like story. I don't like universes built where you have characters that live thousands of years and characters that live dozens of years at best. The combination of those makes for clumsy writing in terms of the way characters perceive times and evolve. It's very difficult to build something as a moment in ancient history. So I'm writing the Star Wars book. It's set in the sequel era. So about, 30 years after Return of the Jedi or something. And I need this bit. It's them finding old Clone War tech and stuff like this. It's the Crimson Corsair and the lost treasure of Count Dooku, and they're hunting this lost treasure. And we get into this thing where you have characters that I want to set it up like the Clone Wars. That's like ancient history. Everything the way we think about when we hear like the Civil War or World War I, or even World War II, depending on how young we are. We want these to feel long, long ago, and we're losing our personal connection to them, so that when we pull something from that past, it feels like it has weight. But when you have characters like, oh yeah, I remember that. That's Steve. Oh, that artifact you found, that was Steve's sword. Steve was cool. You lose the gravitas of the situation. It just becomes, it makes something that is fantastical, but not.
What?
That is 100% what is happening right now with Numenor. Because where they're at, from what we've seen in this episode, where they're at with Numenor is they are close to going to Valinor and just killing everyone. And that's when the sinking of Numenor. But that's how I feel with Numenor. We don't have that connection yet. Because Numenor is brand new to us. We just found him.
Yes.
Elendil, and his son, Isildur. Like, they are supposed to be major key factors in what's going to happen here within the timeline. I'm going to say within a season or two, because of how close we are. Because our Farazan, I believe, is the king they're talking about, because he should be the king of Numenor. When she said, "Dad, the elf has returned," I'm thinking our Farazan, they're gonna make her the daughter of our Farazan.
Yeah. Well, I am. You ever have something that you feel like you are right in saying, but you hate to say it? I kind of have that. I have that here because I feel like when it comes to that, we were talking about Game of Thrones not long ago, and that is its prequel is going on right now, and it itself is going ahead and lending itself to being against this. Okay, so with that in mind, what's important is to make sure that everything feels the level of wondrous for your audience. You need to make sure it has an impact. I've heard of Numenor before. Yes. I didn't feel anything. Once we were there, it became very mundane. And it's supposed to be special, clearly. And it's supposed to have a history, but its history is instantly just kind of crumbling whenever I see that scene between Galadriel and the royalty.
Taking these legendary beings and having members of this legendary race and people pick a bar fight, it makes you. We will take something as seriously as, okay, you know what, I'm going to bust into a Doctor Who moment here, and this was intentional in the direction, in the production. This was something they took into consideration. When David Tennant's Doctor meets the Master for the first time, or more to the point, Yana awakens as the Master. Martha runs to the Doctor and says he's got the same watch. He's like, "What are you talking about?" "No, it's the same watch, the same markings, everything." "That's impossible. They died." The Doctor starts getting agitated. He can't stop what he's doing because lives are on the line. But suddenly he's not in that moment, because he's starting to, if there's anything to what she says that's bad, we'd only know that by his reaction. That could be a great thing. We only know that because he's scared, because he starts taking the situation completely serious. He puts a Master on a pedestal up here because we trust his reaction. When you portray something, if all the characters are saying, going, "Oh my God, Numenor," we're going to feel it more, rather than I'm in this hole and having a bar fight kind of moment.
Eating scallops.
It's just like,
no, that's the thing too. Now, this is where I want to talk about Halbrand in relation to Numenor, because remember when Halbrand was with the blacksmith saying, "I can create stuff better than anyone else, 10 times stronger, 10 times." Motherfucker is Sauron. Him.
I don't think.
Yeah, I've heard that theory too.
No. He is Sauron. He's the one who taught Celebrimbor how to forge the rings and make them special. He's right now on Middle Earth and in Arda. I'm not sure. Maybe not in Valinor, but from Numenor and Middle Earth, he is the best blacksmith there is.
No,
so for him to say that,
I thought the same thing, but my only thought about it was I thought he might be being well set up to be one of the 9 at some point.
The Nazgul? Ring Wraiths?
Yeah. I mean, don't we need to start? We need at some point to start thinking, who are the 7 dwarves? Who, all the people who get the rings? We're going to get that, right?
I mean, that's what it looks like we're going to be getting to. And, somebody discussed that I saw that time compression, that a lot of time that has been listed out, and people who know the Second Age well, it's clear that they are squashing the timeline together because they have to go ahead and make sure that they have what they want addressed. They have to do that, and it's understandable. But
Durin the Fourth is going to obviously get one because he's going to be one of the kings. Yes. If for some reason Durin the Third is still alive by the time the rings are made, he's going to get one. They're going to give one to the king of the Iron Mountains. I mean the Iron Hills, and then the Blue Mountains, and then the one of Erebor. I mean, there's everyone, and then wasn't it?
What
Like
we need to see
13?
right now. We're 3 episodes in on what is it, 8 or 6?
8.
Now, obviously, there's going to be more seasons, but the right now we know 1 dwarf, a couple of human kings, maybe, and obviously we know where the elfin rings go pretty quickly. But we have to build that up, or it doesn't mean anything. Here's a bunch of characters we've never seen. Have some rings,
And I feel like that overall is missing from here. But I will say, I think that problem lies with our main protagonist, which is supposed to be Galadriel. I think it's surrounding her, the world surrounding her, even though it's supposed to be, yes, we can look at Numenor and say, wow, that's stunning. But it loses all that as soon as she steps foot on there and breaks it.
You're totally right. And to build on that, part of the problem with that is Galadriel fails something that is really good for audiences. She fails to be what Frodo and Bilbo both were, or Alice in Wonderland, or Dorothy from Oz, the stranger in a strange land. Galadriel is immersed in this. She looks and goes, again, oh yeah, that was Fred's sword. She knew Fred. She hung out with Fred. It was 3,000 years ago, but she was there. So there's no sense of wonder coming from her, telling the audience, like David Tennant's Fear, telling us to be afraid of the master. There's nothing telling the audience that it's wondrous.
Yeah.
Because she has a reaction to it.
She wouldn't have it because she's one of the oldest elves alive.
No, of course she would.
So she was there. I mean, you even saw on the tapestry Elrond and Elros, the parting of the brothers.
I agree. I just want to say she wouldn't, and that's why she shouldn't be a focused character. Our focused character.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah. I was going to go ahead and say that I think that I think that that's why everywhere else we have characters that are actually building something for their personal lives. Like who do we say? Crap, I had his name up.
Elendil?
Erendir. That's his name. Erendir. He has something there, and I saw some people didn't care for it. Fine, they didn't care for the camp. I personally liked that. I liked the struggle. I liked when the orcs took a act of defiance and said, "You show strength. Here, have some water." They're drinking blood. It's got some. You didn't know?
This is what I wanted to see from like orcs and fight scenes. And like a Tolkien adaptation. This is kind of what I wanted to see with that. But my favorite relationship right now that we've seen is Elrond and Durin. But my favorite I'm most anticipating is Elendil and Isildur. Because here's the reason. Elrond and Isildur, Elendil and Isildur are father and son. It looks like there's like tension between them right now. They don't have the best relationships.
Right.
I'm more excited about that. Ooh, there's feedback. I'm more excited about that specifically because they're the two that bring down Sauron in the War of the Last Alliance. It takes we see that in the prelude from the original trilogy.
But let's go for the book. Go for the book.
Well, in the book. In the book, Elendil dies, so Isildur could cut the ring.
Right, who knows? Different interpretations, but there's a lot of schools of thought. Isildur cuts the ring off the fallen Sauron. He doesn't. It's not in comic. He just walks up on the battlefield like, "Let me get that ring."
Yeah.
Okay. We've talked about a lot of elves. We know what we like thus far with
Elendil, by the way, perfect casting. Absolutely perfect.
The only thing I don't like about the inclusion of Elendil and Isildur at this stage is it sets a timeline. Suddenly the clock is ticking. We know within a short handful of years where we have to be. Before, with all the characters being so long-lived, I didn't have a keystone in history yet. Maybe I should have. Maybe you guys did, but I hadn't caught one. And this maybe we have 100 years till before the forging of the rings. No, this all has to happen in a short period of time because of their presence.
I like completely. I feel that because I expected some level of timing, and I didn't need something cheap like some people for the House of the Dragon. They go ahead and say this is about 200 years before Daenerys Targaryen, so that way normal viewers will have a scale of time.
They had to answer that.
They had that here?
Not in this episode, but in the first episode, I believe, or the second one. It's when Arondir is talking to the older elf who got in this episode got shot with the arrow. So it was but it was when they were on like their watchtower. They said it's been 1,000 years since War of Wrath.
Oh,
right,
okay.
But the audience doesn't have any context for the War of Wrath. It's the opposite. Game of Thrones says this is 180 years or whatever before Daenerys Targaryen tries to take the Iron Throne.
No, it's before she's born.
Or before she's born. Whatever. Either way, it's talking about events that haven't happened yet. Whereas in Tolkien one, it's talking about events that happen in the past and we have little reference for.
Yeah, we don't know exactly where we're supposed to be. And that brings me to a part of the show that I actually, looking online for a fair review, it's very difficult, you can imagine sometimes. But for that, even people who give it the benefit of their doubt, they do not like the Harfoots, which I don't understand. I love the Harfoots.
I didn't like the Harfoots in this particular episode for one thing. They served no purpose towards the story. And I'm kind of confused on why we saw them more than we did like the Dwarves and Elrond.
I think that's going to pay off. If it doesn't, then it'll be a huge misstep.
It felt like Gandalf.
Filler. It felt mainly
Gandalf.
like filler. And if it is Gandalf, you're going to see me pissed.
Get ready to be pissed. That's Gandalf. I thought maybe this is supposed to be Sauron. Come to Earth, and that's why
I told you it wasn't.
Listen. The fire was cold. Evil fire is cold. Those are the rules, okay?
I know, but I told you it wasn't, and I think it's gonna be. I'm choosing to believe it's gonna be a blue wizard because it would be around this time. I'm choosing to believe that.
I want it to be a blue wizard as well. I'm with Jimmy. I'm not gonna hate it if it's Gandalf. It'll be a different take. It's not one I would choose. But I mean, I'm still getting a show where a wizard fell to the earth in an asteroid. I don't really care what his name is or what his backstory is. He's badass. I love seeing it, but I don't want it to be Gandalf.
It's Gandalf. I'm sorry.
Did you see? What's the leader of the Harfoots name again? Lenny Henry. What's his character?
Sadok Burrows.
Sadok Burrows. He said there's stories of people turning into comets, not one of people falling from the sky.
Becoming stars, not falling from.
Yes, that's the story of Elrond's father. Elrond actually is the comet that is like lore. I don't know it fully, but Elrond's father rides that comet, and makes me a little bit confused because the Harfoots should have no connection towards the elves at all. So how would they know?
The rules state that that the other beings have no connection to the hobbits until the Third Age. However, it seems the Harfoots, they migrate a lot. They go around. It makes sense because they're so dedicated to their history. They list everything that happens down that they have a insight into. That maybe that
they are literally in a different part of the world
right now.
They know about elves. That doesn't mean the elves know about them.
Yep. So they're
in a totally different part of the world. They
right
should
now.
But even then, they should. Okay, You got the Misty Mountains that kind of separates Middle Earth, like the east side from the west side.
Okay.
They don't cross that until like the end of like I want to say 3000 of the Second Age. So they have like another 500 years to. No, that's not right.
Get out the drawing board.
It's got to be like 1,000 years after the Third Age. Because they got pushed out of the area where Rohan would be. Well, at least their country should be. And they got pushed over past the Misty Mountains over towards where they settled to the Shire. So they should still have not even be on like anywhere close to the elves. The elves shouldn't even know them, and they shouldn't know about the elves.
I mean, honestly, it doesn't really bother me one way or the other. I feel like if we're going to have them as a species in Middle Earth, then they should probably have some knowledge of other races. They have to hide from them.
Well, yeah, they know about the big people, and they probably just call elves knife ears.
I think what they did, they wrote it in to be an Easter egg, but like they did that so like fans would be like, oh, they're talking about Elrond's dad. But also at the same time, it took away because they're like, it's kind of a plot hole.
I am also going to just go ahead and say, now we know Jimmy wants complete segregation.
What?
Thank you.
What?
The Harfoots and the elves need to be separated all times.
It's not what I said, but okay.
So I want. Here's the thing. There's a lot of things I could pick at, but I'm loving the hell out of this. It's a beautiful, well executed show with even if I don't necessarily like the execution of a character, we're still getting tremendous performances. We're getting you change the name of Galadriel and all my problems with Galadriel disappear. She's just not Galadriel, then I'm not losing or feel like I'm missing the character she is conceived of to become. Yeah. I don't see her in this version. So change her name, for an example. I don't want that to be Gandalf. He could be named, Jammed Off, and I'm cool. I don't care. Like,
instead of Galadriel, it's Sadriel.
Sadriel.
Yeah.
But
that's what she makes me.
I got a question.
The show's getting high marks from me.
Yeah, for me too. I genuinely, it's my favorite show on TV right now. But I have a.
Go ahead.
Pixel.
Go ahead.
Who do you think J.R.R. is?
I'm not sure.
J.R.R., the guy they mentioned, that Orcs mentioned at the end. That's the guy in all black walking forward. No, dude, they wouldn't have done that. They should have been way more suspenseful and like more tension building up to the.
It should be. My concern is that that's it. Look, there he is. There's Sauron.
I think it could be a Witch King. Like the Witch King.
A lot of people that I'm seeing are speculating or saying that they think Halbrand could be the Witch King or one of the what are they called? The
Ring Wraiths.
Yes, Ring Wraiths. Thank you.
It's really the Harfoots or the Ring Wraiths.
Sadok is actually the Witch King.
Got it all figured out. No, it's like I really enjoyed it, and it's a different take than a lot of things that we've seen before. But I love different takes. I wish they hadn't. I think it's neat from a marketing perspective. It's smart from a marketing perspective. And I think if they didn't do it, it would hurt them. But attaching it to the visual look of the movies, it's not what I personally want to see. But it was very smart of them to do it. I think if they didn't do it, the show would be facing a lot more rejection.
I personally, I'm not sure about that. I think a lot of the problems is, a lot of the problems lie in that people are directly trying to compare this to the movies, and they're not connected, and that's going to be fairly clear.
Well, they do take a lot of inspiration from the Jacksonville.
No, and here's the thing. So apparently they license the rights to the New Line designs. This is officially, this is what I heard. I have not verified it, but that it is officially licensed stylistically behind the New Line Cinemas.
So that's why the Balrogs look the same. That's why Sauron, like that prelude photo was
there. So if they're going to try to make it look like them, then comparisons become much more fair. You know, if that is their goal and they paid money to achieve it, then you can say, well, what did you successfully achieve or not achieve this connective tissue?
They didn't, and I personally, I
think they did.
I get a lot of the feelings that I received in those first 2 episodes, but I think episode 3 is truly where we're starting to feel a slump, and I'm sure that once we start focusing on the other ends of things, we'll be able to get more of it. But I think episode 3 is it's low on my level because of it. The best part of this episode to me was Arondir and the Harfoots and the Stranger, because the Stranger is revealed to the
Wait,
Harfoots.
Hold up! You're telling me your favorite parts was the Stranger and Harfoots?
No, my favorite part was Arondir.
Arondir, yeah, but you also said Harfoots and the Stranger.
I liked it.
No, that is by far, like, when I rewatched it for the 3rd time, I skipped past all those parts because I'm with them.
I loved the Harfoot stuff.
Oh my god,
Harfoots.
I should have known. Anything I like, Landry just doesn't like.
See, Harfoots are supposed to be pre-Hobbits. That's what they like. They will ultimately get in, dig themselves their little holes, and they will be comfortable. But right now, they are roamers.
The Harfoots are hobbits. They're just like the Stone Age version of them.
They're tribal. They're more tribal.
Yeah. So they're pre-Hobbits. They're hobbits, but pre-Hobbits because they aren't actually like hobbits yet, as we know them.
It's thousands of years, and they don't have the protection of humans yet.
I should tell you something, Jimmy.
Thanks, Brent. I got 3 people against 1. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm enjoying that part. I like the ethos of the character, Nori. Her ethos is very Tolkien to me. Her
100%.
Her need to follow her gut and act in kindness. That's her gut instinct, is to act in kindness, because kindness is a service of itself. So that felt very Tolkien to me in a way that the rest of the show doesn't. And I think that's what keeps gravitating me towards the Harfoot stuff, is actually Nori specifically.
You want to know why? You want to know why that she's very Tolkien like that? It's because her and her best friend are basically stand-ins for Frodo and Sam. And you know what? I'm okay with it. Yeah, it's totally her. Nori is like very much wanting to do the right thing for the sake of doing the right thing. And then her friend, I have no idea what her name is, but she won't leave her side because she's loyal to her friend. Even when they start falling behind in the pack during the migration, she stops to go just because she can't leave her best friend. That's so Sam.
That was so weird. It's like, okay, look, you got 2 carts. One of you has 1 cart, and then 4 or 5 of you in this other cart. Just move in together, and when you get to your new place, build a new cart. You can all go in the 1 cart. And if she can pull the 1 cart by herself, then 5 of you with that cart should be no problem.
They just need to stop and dig themselves a hole.
So, here's the thing. Have you guys seen the Dark Crystal prequel series on Netflix?
Yes, at least most of it. I'm not sure.
You guys told me to watch it. I still haven't, because I'm not a fan of Dark Crystal.
It is this, only better. It is the mythos and world building. Yeah, seriously. So much. Okay, so Jimmy, I'm going to spoil a little bit of the stuff for you here. Okay, you ready for that? The beginning of it, that's all about the different tribes of Gelfling, and they're different, and how they are. There's a strata of almost like a caste system amongst these tribes, and how these tribes all serve this higher government. And so what we get these storylines of following key characters from the different tribes as this convergence is kind of happening, and it's just brilliantly executed, of this multicultural fantasy world steeped in politics and like the oncoming threat of darkness, and watching these characters slowly realize that darkness is festering under their feet. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
No.
And I agree that Rings of Power is trying to be that. It's not yet, and I don't think it will.
Dark Crystal did.
No, because Dark Crystal, admittedly, I can see why some people are not big fans of the original movie. I liked it, but what made me like it more was that series, because it managed to fulfill something. And I feel like this isn't fulfilling anything yet. Like, obviously, there's that gap. Oh, I don't have any fantasy content right now. What am I going to fill my time with?
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? This is the biggest year for fantasy I think we've ever had. Sandman. No. We had Sandman, Wheel of Time. Then
high fantasy.
House of Dragon. Are you saying Sandman's not high fantasy?
Elves, dwarves, D&D kind of fantasy. Listen,
Sandman.
I agree with both of you, because I don't think Sandman really fits, but everything else I agree with Jimmy on is that we are in a mecca of time for this kind of fantasy. We have so many options, so many choices, and a Dungeons and Dragons movie itself coming. We're doing okay. I don't know if Sandman fits it though. No shade on Sandman. I'm just saying I don't know if it's the same kind of genre.
It's definitely fantasy, just not the medieval fantasy.
Yeah, no, it's fairy tale. It's more fairy tale and less high fantasy.
But essentially what I was saying was that it does scratch that itch, sure. But for Lord of the Rings, I still need something more. I do. I'm enjoying parts of it, but it isn't to the point where I can sit down, watch these, and then watch the movies and garner that same feeling at this point. I hope that I can.
The word you're thinking is stakes, because right now we don't have any stakes. All we have is speculation. The stakes are what we already know from watching the original trilogy or from the books that we've already read. The show hasn't given us these high stakes.
It's a problem with a lot of properties right now is they rely on us having a pre-existing knowledge, and they don't do the labor to build up those stakes, as an example, from the ground up. We saw it with the sequels in Star Wars. They rely on us being fans starting in. This requires us being fans. I am a fan, so it doesn't hurt me as a viewer, but I could see objectively how that is less ideal than having something that resonates to non-fans.
The problem with Wheel of Time in a whole. The season 1 Wheel. It's okay. Go into it with an open mind. It's not like the best adaptation. Plus, they filmed most of it during COVID, so they had to do a lot of stuff with green screens that they originally had planned to be out in the open and film. But for me, I really liked it. I stand by saying it's a good show, but it didn't have that high stakes they should have given us, I want to say, in the first 2 episodes that Sandman gave us in episode 1. Or even House of the Dragon gave us in episode 1.
I feel like that there are a lot of people who could watch like House of the Dragon specifically without any knowledge. They go in and they will quickly catch up. And the first season of Game of Thrones, they were able to do that as well. You need to make your world able to be understood.
Right.
And if people are, obviously you want to appeal to people who are fans of Tolkien. That's an obvious, but you need to have the base to go ahead and appeal to a massive audience. If you don't, then, and you're not living up to many Tolkien fans' expectations of what you're portraying, you are failing.
Well, exactly, and especially with $85 million an episode, you have to make this so broad that anyone can watch it, but still stay true to like what is Tolkien, and that I don't feel like they're living up to the audience right now.
I was just going to say that I think this gets into what I was saying earlier about why it had to have a visual connective tissue with the films, because that 85 million an episode, they are afraid that there will be too many audience members who say they got everything wrong. That's not what Sauron looks like. That's not what Mordor looks like. That's not what any of this stuff is. That's not elvish swords, dwarven armor. So they had to connect it because people would feel like it was done wrong. And I think that's unfortunate because, as we've discussed several times, I'm a big fan of different artistic interpretations of Middle-earth. I love the Bakshi Lord of the Rings. I love the Rankin Bass Hobbit. I love the Peter Jackson films. There's room for all these different interpretations, or there should be. And I feel like we're not getting that.
Yeah. Yep. And while it has the film look, yes, but it doesn't treat its audience properly. I do not feel the importance I should, and it's undercutting a lot of it for me with this episode. That doesn't mean I'm going to write off the rest of the series, but this episode is low on my scale.
I think this is the best one. Actually, probably tied for episode 2, specifically because I truly believe we saw Sauron in Halbrand. Let me explain. I already told you about the blacksmith. He is right now the best blacksmith in all of Arda that I can think of. But not only that, he's the master manipulator. First time we saw that, Galadriel being a bitch to Miriel, and she was gonna cause some serious thing, basically saying, "Yeah, I'll fight anyone right here, right now, just so I could get a boat and leave." And Halbrand had to step in, and he calmed everyone down with just his words, exactly the way Sauron would do it. And then the bar scene, the bar fight, when he was kind of talking a little bit of smack, and then he sees he's now being surrounded by a bunch of people. Yeah. You heard that suspense noise, the high-pitched noise, and him staring off. You see, like, his blank face was just evil, and then snapped into it. It's going,
I mean,
blah, blah, blah. I'll buy you a drink and stuff like that. I'll be a good host. And that's just Sauron.
I agree. I just don't want it to be Sauron because it's too soon, too obvious for me. But I don't know. I don't know how you resolve it.
Didn't you just say you thought Arda was Sauron?
No, I said I was saying he could be Sauron. I don't want this other guy to be Sauron.
I think we need some time too before we start delving into that. But I think that goes into the problem of condensing down your timeline. Maybe they didn't feel they could properly display the full extent of events, and if so, that's just bad writers.
Jimmy, help me out here because my second lore is rough, and yes. I did know this, but we're talking 40 years of knowledge ago. Did Sauron know, or did people when Sauron worked with the Elves to forge the rings? Did they know it was Sauron? Or did they think, or was he in disguise as someone else?
He was disguised as the great gift giver.
I thought they knew who he was, but
no. Some elves did. He was, I don't remember which elves kind of were like, we don't trust this guy. It's kind of shady. A guy who's just a master gift giver.
And then,
yeah, they left. And then he went over to where Celebrimbor was, and Celebrimbor was like, "Oh, I want to know what you mean by these gifts." And so he came in. He realized they were really well built, and then they started smithing together. And then he taught him how to make the rings. Oh, actually, he didn't do that. He tricked him into believing he was making rings that were supposed to unite people, the races of Middle Earth. But we know how that turned out. But not only this, I got to say, Anatar, which is Sauron in the books, was captured by the Númenóreans. What did we just see in this episode? He was captured and imprisoned by the Númenóreans.
Ooh, that feels weak.
It's a little weak, but also look what happened when he went in the fight. He goes, "You don't want to do this. Trust me. I don't even really want to do this." And then when he gets punched in the face, you saw him have that Quentin Tarantino jump scare on screen sort of looking face, and then just mess people up to the point where it wasn't just Galadriel punching someone who was being frisky to the point where she the person wouldn't be too physically harmed. This guy wanted to kill all these people.
So I think ultimately my feelings thus far are it could be better. There's a lot to it, a lot to the bones that I feel like, okay, I like this direction, I'm liking this character, I like how this actor is portraying this, but there's this overall feeling that it could be done better. And it saddens me to feel that way because I've been excited for this show. And
Not done yet.
It's not done yet. We're almost halfway through though. And that's a problem.
One last Sauron theory I want to throw out, that for me, if somebody came to me as a person who works in writing stuff, somebody came to me and said, our writers all died, come up with an ending based on what you have, or come up with an answer for who Sauron is based on what we have, I would have him be at least two of these characters, because I don't know why Sauron would be so limited in time and space to one location. Why he
one
can't
body?
Or fast traveling or whatever. I mean, I don't know Sauron's.
Sauron isn't a person. He's a spirit.
Exactly.
He's like this angelic
spirit. Why couldn't Sauron be more than one of these beings? Why couldn't we be seeing at least 3 different Saurons in this?
I think that's stretching it.
I feel like it might be a slight stretch, but
it works for Scream.
So do you think it would be like Adar and Halbrand mix sort of thing?
Well, it could be that he's just, doing a Palpatine. He's playing multiple sides of the fence.
Pulling a Palpatine. That's my favorite use of
I
love that. I love saying that when I can. Yes. So
I heard someone theorize Celebrimbor was Sauron, and I was like, guys, we are stretching right now. And no, this is only episode 3 out of 8. We possibly couldn't have even met Sauron yet.
I'd be okay with that. Like, genuinely, I'd be okay with that, except they tied it down to making sure that people were desperate for it. I was looking at something just a little bit ago that was saying this show is relying on us asking too many damn questions and not getting an answer.
It's mystery box.
Yeah, it's too big of a mystery box with other mystery box stacked on top of it. Give us some answers. Go ahead and make us feel a part of this world. They don't want us to feel a part of this world, though. They're not trying to make us feel a part of it. They are trying to make its main character this human we can rally behind when she's not supposed to be. It's making the world around it just have loose ends that we want to tie up. But when you're at the end of an episode, you should feel like you completed something. I do not feel like I've completed anything. So, I don't know. I don't know.
It doesn't have any sense of self-encapsulation. And there are different schools on thought of whether that's ideal or not. It used to be everything always was. And the art of capturing something that is both self-encapsulated and carries the overall story forward is a tricky balance.
It's also insane to me how what you just said is right, but we live in a generation of binge watching. So if this had come out on Netflix and we got to see every episode one after another, maybe it would have been better. But we talked about Sandman, at the end of every episode, you knew you were at the end and you were itching for the next. This does not have me itching for anything.
This specific episode, I have to agree. It didn't make me go, wow, I really want to know what the answer is for next episode. What they did for this one is, we're going to throw in this random character that we made up and see if people want to check him out. Oh, we're not even going to reveal his full face. We're not even going to unblur it. So
I will tell you, it got my interest. Comet Man got my interest. The Harfoots, they got my interest.
Yes, I feel like Comet Man is slowly. I'm settling with him, but at the same time, I feel like the disconnect. He's slowly learning the language. Good, but he has a major disconnect because he doesn't understand a damn thing around him. He knows what he wants.
No, here's the cool thing. He's looking for the stars, right? Elendil revealed what his name means. It means elf friend in one translation, and something of the stars or something like that in the next one. And it was so like hand over fist that made me go, oh, okay. So the stranger wants to meet Elendil, because to be fair, Elendil is a big part of taking down Sauron. So I think that's it.
I just wish somebody said that what they have the rights to for the Second Age are essentially like 15 pages, and it's the appendix of events.
Appendices? No, it's more than that. It's actually, it depends on the printing. It depends on what book. If it's like a big hardcover, then probably. But my paperback, it's more than that.
Well,
by a good amount.
What Amazon has the rights to use, I mean. So with that in mind, I don't know. I'm sure that there will be things that I like about the next episode. I just hope there are more things to like. And I hope there's no ridiculous slow-mo shot on a horse.
There was too many slow-mo shots in this episode. I actually noticed it. It was like Zack
Snyder came in, sat down, was like, you need a slow-mo here. You need a slow-mo here. I don't get it. Has she never been on a horse?
No. The reason she was riding a horse and smiling is because elves are actually very like equipped to riding horses, and that's why when she said riding, that was a big thing for her.
Oh, that was my wife's favorite moment.
Oh
my god, that horse! Oh my god, I love that horse.
Well, yeah, the horse.
I totally get, and so for her, that clicked. There's all different kinds of audiences.
Yeah. Again, I feel like it's too much of a human kind of pull. Like you're trying to.
I don't like this with Galadriel. Galadriel.
Right.
Okay, so to be clear, I've never been. This is going to shock you, especially Jimmy, but I've never been a super big fan of the portrayal of the elves in the Peter Jackson films. It's very, very ethereal because it makes them not as fun. They're so serious. Elves in the book of The Hobbit, elves getting drunk and getting their keys stolen as they're doing their job pushing barrels. It feels like very different.
Elrond in The Hobbit explaining to Thorin and Bilbo and Gandalf the meaning of the swords. He was genuinely excited to see these like swords they haven't seen in possibly hundreds of years.
Yeah,
but I think Elrond, even in that, I'm just a big Elrond fan, aren't I? Elrond, even in that, I loved him.
He's great. Don't get me wrong. He's great. It's not a criticism of any of the portrayals per se. It's just that if you're going to portray Galadriel as if we didn't ever have a Cate Blanchett Galadriel, this Galadriel would sit better with me. I'd be more comfortable with it because I wouldn't be comparing it to a very different interpretation in a movie where everything looks the same. It's like if this is the same world, then you have to really follow that.
I'm going to disagree. I feel like Elrond and Galadriel, even though they are friends here, yes, they have very different feelings. The elves over in the woods, I wish I could remember the names. I'm sorry. The elves in the woods with Galadriel, they do all have that ethereal kind of feeling. Elrond is a little lower on that scale. He has a very accessible kingdom that you come in.
I don't feel like the Cate Blanchett Galadriel and this Galadriel feel like the same person.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a problem.
Yeah, and so if they had never made the ethereal Galadriel of Lothlorien and the Fellowship of the Ring, I would not be looking at this Galadriel going, well, why aren't you more that other Galadriel? I'd be more okay with this interpretation.
Cate Blanchett is very, very close to the book.
Yeah, I think there's. I think that
I don't care if they deviate necessarily from the book. I'm just saying if you're going to build a universe where the movies are supposed to be in the same universe or TV shows, I want congruity then. Like, if you do an adaptation and you change a character, fine, but make it consistent.
But Jimmy could be right, and they could just be trying to build this up so that way they can make their own Lord of the Rings and their own Hobbit and stuff. And
that's why I'm saying I think it's going to be Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power, leading into Lord of the Rings, the Hobbit, leading into Lord of the Rings, Fellowship, Two Towers, Return of the King.
I mean, I don't think so. Just from a rights issue, I think that's why they made Rings of Power. They can't get that stuff. I think the rights are too tied up.
They have the rights to Lord of the Rings, Lord of the Rings, the Hobbits, and the trilogy. They have the rights. That's the only thing they actually.
Yeah, the Second Age is what they're truthfully lacking. Like a lot of, they're lacking
to the appendices, and that's what they're basing the show on.
I thought a different company held the rights to Fellowship and Hobbit, or Lord of the Rings and Hobbit.
I don't think so. I think
they have a different company bought the cinematic rights. They don't have the TV show rights.
Okay. Which actually seeing The Hobbit as a show sounds like a great.
I know. I think that's what I'm truly excited about.
I have no problem with. They could make new versions of these movies every 10 years, and that would be great. I mean, we get how many new Spider-Mans, how many new Batmans. I'm fine with. I want new visual takes, though. I want
the First Age leading to the War of Wrath with Morgoth, the true most powerful Maya. That is what I want to see.
I'm looking forward because Amazon has been hitting it out of the park with animation that I've seen. So they have what's it called? What is it? It is Lord of the Rings.
Something with Rohan.
Oh, War of the Rohirrim.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that, and we're probably going to do a video on that.
That's not Amazon, I think. That's Weta and Warner Bros.
It's on Amazon.
No, War of the Rohirrim is 100% Warner Bros.
I'm pretty sure it's coming out on Amazon, but that's about it. So we should go ahead and wrap up now. Well, you heard our thoughts. If you're watching this and you're still here an hour and 2 minutes in, that's reading above, please make sure to leave your thoughts down below. Also, like and subscribe. Helps out the channel. Check out the other reviews, and we will be reviewing over the next few weeks that we have left. Not many more.
Next week, we're literally halfway through the series, and that's sad.
Yeah, we're already there. But we're going to have to wait and see what we think. So thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. So long.